Welcome to ABA 10 Talk, a rapid-fire conversation with members from American Business Associates. I'm Dave Goldberg from Digital Waterworks Productions. In our studio today, I'm joined by guest Jody Fisher of Jody Fisher PR. We only have 10 minutes, so let's get right into it. Welcome, Jody.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me.
This is a video podcast, I know, but you have an interesting background in radio broadcast. Let's just fill us in a little bit there, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Before I was a PR guy, I was a radio reporter. I worked for WCBS Radio here on Long Island, running around with my 880, the recently deceased 880.
Rest in peace.
Yes. But running around with my beeper and my bag phone and my microphone, going to press conferences and fires and court cases and, reporting all over Long Island. And a few years into that, I had this epiphany where I wanted to be more in control of my schedule. So why not go into public relations?
And never sleep.
Exactly right. And work more hours.
Right.
But done that for the last 25 years, worked for a number of different folks, both in-house and at agencies, including at Howard Rubenstein Communications.
In the city, yeah.
Worked for a lot of great clients there, Friends of the High Line, Larry Silverstein at the World Trade Center, worked for the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum when we brought the Space Shuttle Enterprise to New York. Lots of great memories, lots of great
What was
work.
that like, moving a space? Where did it come from? Where did they bring the space shuttle from?
Well, it was the result of an RFP that NASA put out, and they were giving away the space shuttles at the end of the shuttle program. Intrepid decided it wanted one, ended up getting the Enterprise, which was at the Smithsonian. So they put it on the back of a 747, flew it up to JFK. We picked it up, engineers did this,
right.
But picked it off the back of a 747, put it on a barge, floated it up the river, put it on the deck of an aircraft carrier, opened it to the public. The most satisfying thing about that entire PR program was going home that night and Googling Enterprise and Intrepid, and not coming up with the news coverage, but coming up with videos of parents who had taken their kids out to watch the Enterprise float up the river. And when you talk about impactful PR, to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. What year was that?
Oh, man.
I mean, you mentioned Google, so...
Early 2000, I want to say 2004 or 5, something in there. No, it had to be later than that. Anyway.
All right. Well, we'll Google it and we'll find out.
You can Google it, yeah.
All right. From your experience as a radio reporter in New York City, how did you transition, how did that transition happen to having your own PR firm?
Well, I think that the similarities between journalism, and I was never a journalist, that's too highfalutin word for me, I was a reporter. But the similarities are between radio or journalism and PR is storytelling. I'm still a storyteller. I just do it on behalf of my clients. I identify stories that they want to tell, and I make them interesting and accessible to the media that they want to cover it. So I'm kind of a bridge builder in that way.
So you're approaching PR from a different way than most PR agencies do in that respect.
Well, I don't know if it's different, but it's the way I do it. And I draw on that reporter training to continue to tell stories and to tell the stories to the outlets and to the audiences that the clients want to reach. I always caution that you're never pitching a story to a reporter, you're pitching the story to the reporter's audience.
Right.
So does it make sense? You need to ask yourself, does it make sense? Does this audience come to this outlet for this information? If they don't, you got to find somewhere else.
You emphasize the importance of storytelling in PR. Do you have a particular success story with your own agency where you've used storytelling to tell an impactful story, and enhance the client's media coverage?
Well, I think for PR people, every time the story ends up, whether it's in the newspaper, radio, TV, online, when it ends up just the way you hoped it would, to me, that's successful. And it doesn't matter what the subject matter is.
Okay.
I really like telling good news stories. I work a lot with nonprofit clients and have over the years. Nonprofits need to make every dollar dance like it's 100, right? They have extremely tight budgets. And storytelling and PR can be really effective for them in getting the word out about the work that they do and the impact that they have. So it can be a really effective weapon in getting people to sign on to supporting the organization. So when we can tell a story that really articulates precisely what they do and precisely who they help, that's a win.
That's a win. I thought about this next question and how to ask it, so I wrote these questions down. With the evolving media landscape, how do you see the role of social media influencing traditional public relations PR strategies? And how does your agency integrate those platforms into client stories?
It's a great question, and I'm sure 10 minutes after this posts, wherever it posts, this answer is going to change.
Right, it'll be irrelevant.
Because social media is always changing,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
But as we sit here right now, social media is a really effective way to tell your story. It is also a sort of a barrier-free way to tell your story. Whereas you have to pitch a story to a reporter to get them to put it in the newspaper or put it on TV or whatever else it is, you have the ability to just go direct to your social media channels and tell those stories. The most important thing I think you can do with your social media is to tell stories that are accessible to the people who are following you, to make what my friend Peter Shankman calls thumb-stopping content. Right? As you're scrolling through that phone, what's going to get you to pause and watch, even if it's 20 seconds of that video, right? Yeah. So that, I think, is the most important thing.
So how do your clients do that? I mean, everybody talks about the viral video. We want our video to go viral, but literally, how do you create that thumb stopping? And do you come up with those concepts, or is it a think tank process to get there?
Well, I always like to be collaborative. I don't know what the clients know. They have to point at the source material and say, this is important to us. How do we tell this story? And then it's my job to figure out how we tell it to the platform that they want to reach, or on the platform that they want to reach. When it comes to social, you have to sit down and understand, kind of the same way you're pitching a video desk, a TV station. Every videographer, and you can appreciate this, will ask you, if I'm going to come to your event, what am I going to see? Not what are people going to say, but what am I going to see? What's worth pointing my camera at? So I think that's the first test you need to give your social media content, is what is it going to look like?
Right.
And it's as important as what are we going to say.
It's almost like pre-scripting it in a sense. Not a word-for-word script, but we've got to have the game plan. We can't just build the house. We need to look at those plans before we start swinging hammers.
Those fantastic social media videos that you see, with the exception of the breaking news or sort of the ones that happen accidentally, the best ones, the ones that you love, the ones that you remember, they're all scripted.
Yeah.
Of course. Or at the very least, they're preconceived,
yeah.
Right? Someone just didn't hit that camera and just say something brilliant. At least that's not the way I do it.
What is Jody Fisher's legacy?
Jody Fisher's legacy?
Yeah. What do you?
I have never been asked that question.
I'm sure you haven't. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
What are you leaving to us?
I think someone who cared about the people he works with. Somebody who helped them tell their stories that made an impact in the world. I care deeply about the people I'm around, the community that I live in, the places that I work. And so if I can help leave that place just a little bit better, that's good enough for me.
That works for me. If you've enjoyed this conversation and you'd like to learn more about ABA or see other interviews, visit our website at abanetworking.com. Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, Dan.
That was good.